heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. And now, whenever we last left off, we had Izuku Midoriya. He has just taken his day off, and basically spent the entire day asleep on the couch, until the demon broke into his house, possessing his caretaker's body. The demon then basically jumped out of the body and ran off as far as he could. If he even tries to attempt to leave with that body, he might very well just be trapped. Especially because he has to limit his strength within a human. Otherwise, he could lose his leverage. Now, with that being said, we do have Izuku Midoriya. This is his last month of training before UA. Now, he is actually getting ready. He gets a lot of things prepared and somewhat sorted out. He does actually make time for a large group of people. People from his school, people from nearby schools, and just anyone who genuinely wants to be around him. Midoriya basically sets up an entire training month for this single day. Now, Midoriya basically fights up against a large group of people every single day. Not only do a lot of them get to work on teamwork and somewhat hero training, but they're also going up against an opponent that if they make a fatal slip, well, it's not a fatal slip. Midoriya can just regenerate from it. And luckily, this is actually some much needed training. Large groups of people come out to fight Midoriya every single day. And that is actually quite interesting. Midoriya, within this time frame, gets blown up, stabbed, exploded, acid thrown onto his body, lit on fire, covered with ice, and then shattered, and so on and so forth. You can see a pattern. Midoriya was once even ripped apart with telekinesis. And the reason why one of his legs got ripped off was because the person controlling their power sneezed by accident, and their arm completely moved off to the left and downwards. Midoriya's leg twisting off like a drumstick, which was not an easy sight to watch. Now, as we do have the final day of training, Midoriya is actually somewhat stretching, and is actually getting a bit excited and pumped up. Okay, so let's see. I think a large group of these people might actually be ready for an attempt at the UA High School entrance exam. Then again, I'm not too sure what to do. A large group of them are ready. But even then, I just prepared them to work together with each other. If the UA entrance exam is more difficult than, well, I think it is, most likely some of them will fail. Either way, they at least got to try. Now, I at least hope a lot of them do make it in. This being whenever a large group of people begin to crowd around Midoriya, asking him if he really thinks that they could all make it into UA. Midoriya simply just saying that he's going to be really honest right now. Listen, there's more than just everyone here. Tomorrow at the UA entrance exam, everyone standing here is your enemy, including me. Everyone falling silent immediately. Listen to me. It doesn't matter. Whatever any of you do, well, someone could probably do it better than you. Your quirk, yeah, it's unique. But then again, that doesn't matter. However you use your abilities and however you are able to take down your opponents will matter. Now, for right now, I suggest everyone go home and actually get some rest. Now, a large group of people actually do begin to disperse. And the one remaining person does actually somewhat walk over to Midoriya and begin to talk with him. Do you really think that this is going to work? Oh, hey there, Chaka. Yeah. I'm fairly certain. Well, I did have a question, actually. What was it? Well, earlier when we were testing my quirk, did you get it? Oh, Midoriya rummaging into his pocket and pulling out a picture, saying, "Here. Thank you." Her actually taking the picture from him. So how high do you think you got? Well, I don't know. Look at that picture and you can tell me. Ochako looking at it and seeing that Midoriya, yeah, he was pretty high up. What the heck? Yeah, you're telling me. In fact, I think any higher and I actually would have gone through the clouds. But I can tell you one thing though. Falling for a solid, well, let's see. I think it was around 5 minutes? Probably even 6? I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10. But it was actually quite fun. Then again, so was hitting terminal velocity on entry. Yeah, I meant to ask, are you alright? Oh no, I'll be fine. It just, I didn't expect to catch on fire. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh no, don't worry. In fact, I was kind of expecting that. Okay. The two eventually getting back to the apartment building. Splitting up and Midoriya heading to his apartment. Taking a shower and then sitting down on the couch. While you do have the doll, who is currently at least dressed in some pajamas, and actually somewhat eating one of Midoriya's snacks, while skipping through the channels on the TV. This being whenever Midoriya, after he sat down, he brought up his hand, grabbing the remote out of her hands and pulling it towards himself, before hitting mute. Hey, I was watching that. No, you weren't really doing anything. Let me just be clear on some things. First off, you're staying here, yes. Second off, I gave you some money because, well, I thought you needed some outfits. I did buy some outfits. Yeah, you did. But I didn't mean just pajamas. Well, I don't really ever leave this house either. So why exactly would I need any other type of outfits? Because you need a way to blend in. Okay. Listen, anyway, skipping over that. Midoriya going on to state that he wants to know a bit more about the demon. Has she ever tracked it down? Oh yes, that. Well, the demon seems to elude capture for now. Ever since he disappeared last month, I haven't seen anything. Have you actually been searching? Or are you just going back over to those candy shops again? What? Hey, come on. Why do you think that? Because whenever I was cooking dinner earlier, I saw a wrapper in the trash. And I know for a fact I didn't buy it. So I'm guessing you did. Uh, okay, I may have gone by the shop, but I did look afterwards, I promise. Jesus. I thought you didn't even need to eat. Oh, I don't. Then why do you do it? Because, well, food is kind of delicious. It's new. I've never really felt this way before about anything. I like it. Okay. Well, either way, just do me one single favor. Hmm? Sure, what is that? Don't get into my damn snacks! Midoriya screams. Now, Midoriya does toss over the remote, saying that he's giving her this, but as he actually does take one of the snacks off the table, saying this is his reward. Now, Midoriya then does at least lie down on the couch, these two having a bit of a conversation. Now, Midoriya does want to learn a bit more about the past. So what exactly was it like back then? It was interesting. Alright, that sounds pretty good, but can you give me a bit more detail? Now, the doll begins to at least talk about his story. Meanwhile, we do have Midoriya. While she is beginning it, he's exhausted. He's been using Hunter's Fest a lot recently, and he has at least noticed a significant boost in his own natural strength. So that is good. However, it still exhausts him. Now, Midoriya, he's asleep, as we do have the doll, who begins to at least show Midoriya the past. Somewhere around the beginning of the Holy War, or at least in the months leading up to it, the Ten Commandments member Gother of Selflessness, he, well, was not imprisoned. Whatever horrible act he committed or whatever crime he committed, he did not do. In fact, he did not do this task and was able to stay unchained. Now, the Demon King, he then at least had a specialized task for Gother. He wanted Gother to keep an eye on his son, and for him to keep an eye on the other commandments. Something does not feel right about any situation they've been in. Sure, they fight and kill the goddesses, but they should be butchering them, not simply just picking them off one at a time. And he would like them to solve that. Now, this is whenever Gother discovered that Meliodas and Elizabeth, the goddess, they were together. He was able to actually look into their own minds and see how long this little affair was going on. Once he did, he brought this information to the Demon King, and was able to successfully at least mess around with his son, hold him captive, and begin his little experiments. Meanwhile, for Elizabeth, she was said to be imprisoned for her actions, and there was even a bit of a legend. She died of a broken heart. She was killed during the war, or so it would seem. Whereas Meliodas was imprisoned, his beloved would die. And the curse that would fall upon her, it is said and done. The curse of reincarnation. Her punishment for falling in love with the son of a demon, or the Demon King, is to endlessly die over and over again as a human. Now, with that being said, eventually, the war fully broke out. This was not a simple matter of between, well, a cross-species marriage or simple love. They wanted to take the other species down successfully, and the goddess clan successfully imprisoned the demons. However, the amount of energy and magic it took nearly destroyed the clan. Now, that is how their stories ended. Both clans were basically sealed apart from each other. And before anyone does ask, we will cut with Merlin. She did not know Meliodas nor Elizabeth in this timeline. She has heard about them and seen them, but she has not interacted with them in Danifold, if I believe the city is called that. That might be the wrong city. Anyways, she did take the gifts from the Demon King and the Goddess clan, and eventually she was able to figure out her own magic, before she halted her aging far into the future. Meanwhile, we do have the fairies. The fairies, they are a proud and powerful race, hidden within the Fairy King's forest. The fairies could come and go as they pleased. However, they began to be hunted down by the humans, and it seemed like there would be a little bit of a war that would spark out. They began to fight and die, fairies being taken in and harvested for their wings, before being killed. The Fairy King, he tried to put a stop to it. However, his actions, or his inactions, led to his own death. He was killed and impaled straight through his heart, and his body was thrown into the river. Now, it was eventually recovered, but it was useless since he did not have any wings. Meanwhile, we do have Deanne the Giant. She never encountered the Fairy King, and it seemed like she would remain alone, up until she grew older and she joined that mercenary group. She was a very powerful and, at least, somewhat caring person. It seemed like she did have somewhat of a softer side, even though she did have to toughen up to survive. Now, with that being said, we also do have Bon, the fox sin of greed. He simply never made a trip to the Fairy King's forest. In fact, after the Fairy King's death, he just suddenly disappeared. It seems like the forest was never to be found again. They just vanished. The remaining fairies trying to live in solitude. Anytime the forest was found, they'd have to try and enforce stronger magic, and at least seem to teleport the entire forest away. Now, many fairies, they would be left behind like this, and eventually the race will begin to die out, the numbers slowly decreasing. Now, we also do have, let's see, Meliodas, Bon, Deanne, Merlin. There is no Gother. We already went over King, and we do have Escanor. Escanor was a very powerful and proud human. In fact, he was said to be the strongest. This simple human, he vanquished and wiped out the vampire clan, along with actually being his own little bodyguard. This ginormous behemoth of muscle was labeled the Sin of Pride. And Escanor sought out his days as simply just hired muscle. until he did actually begin to work with Deanne. The two were at least conflicted with each other, but they did work well. They were effective. Now, with that being said, that is how the seven deadly sins, each one of their stories played out. Now, with that we do have Midoriya, who wakes up from a very long dream, and he is actually somewhat tired and confused. Whoa, okay, crap, what time is it? Midoriya checking the time. Okay, he must have fell asleep directly after he got back. Or, no wait, my towel's right here. Okay, if I'm right, I got a couple hours of sleep. Midoriya, at least, looking around the room, finding the doll, and somewhat talking with her. Who? It seems like she's going to at least go to the UA entrance exam, and see what it is all about. Now, with that being said, they do leave, after getting everything prepared and set up. As soon as everyone does head to the entrance exam, Midoriya, he actually does someone get swarmed by a large group of people. All talking about how Midoriya, he truly does believe in them, right? Listen everyone, you're drawing too much attention. So everyone just head inside and at least try and figure this all out. Now, they all do that. And it seems like the media has gotten swift news of Izuku Midoriya. He was seen at the UA entrance exam earlier this morning. And apparently he is going to be taking it. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does actually head in. And this is whenever everyone does at least somewhat stare in his direction. The guy was swarmed by literally half the people in here, right? Or was it just like a fourth or a fifth? No one's really too sure. However, well, yikes. A lot of people are going to be trying out for UA this year. Now, Midoriya, he actually does listen to the whole talk and conversation. These are the robots worth these points, these are the robots worth these points. Then there's the 0 pointer. That one actually catching Midoriya's attention. Alright, so, big bad robots. Take that out. Well, they gotta be hiding something with it, right? Think about it though. How noteworthy would it be to take out a giant-ass robot? Alright, this might actually be a little bit fun. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, he is given a number after his exam. I want to say that with him constantly always training, and at least hanging out with quite a few people, he is able to at least study sometimes. Since Yaoyorozu, her training would mostly consist of probably picking up a book and physical exercise, which she would handle herself. Or, well, I can at least see... Actually, I can see a large study group going on. I would at least place him not in A range, but somewhere in a B- to a C+ area. Or at least possibly a B range. Now, with that being said, we will have the entrance exam. And Izuku Midoriya. He actually is walking over to his area. Some people walking over and trying to catch his attention. You do have... let's see. Let's say at least 2 random girls, a couple random guys, some people that we do know from canon, and at least three of the girls I will mention currently: Ochako, Toga, and I want to say actually Mina. Now, they are all trying to catch his attention, and Midoriya basically has to at least try and calm everyone down, telling them all to try and focus. As you do have Tenya Ida, who actually does walk over. Pardon me. Hmm? Oh, hi. Who are you? Ah, yes, I am Tenya Ida. And I would like to exactly know, what is your ability? Oh, you're talking about my quirk? Well, wait, why? Well, it's just that everyone seems to be so infatuated with you. Is that the right word? It's kind of jarring. I haven't even seen this many people basically like this in a long time. Last time I saw it, there were people just fangirling for All Might. Oh. Um, well, to be serious, man, I'm a movie star. Hmm? Yeah. You might have seen me. Have you ever seen Midoriya listing off a couple movies? No, I have not. Okay, Midoriya listing off a few more. Listing off a couple cartoon characters he's voiced, and at least one character that Ida's for sure got to know. The guy who got set on fire during a horror movie. That one somewhat actually does spark something in Ida's head. His brother Ingenium made him watch that one with him whenever he was younger. Yikes. That was not easy to watch. Midoriya is someone just laughing and saying, "Yup." Funny thing is, that scene was real. Wait, are you crazy? Nope, just immortal. Wait a minute. Yup. Anyways, later, man. Midoriya walking past a shocked Ida, who is currently trying to process one of the many, many images from his nightmares. No wonder it looks so realistic. It was real. Well, that explains the trauma. Builds character. uh, anyway, skipping over that. Too real. We do have 3, 2, 1, begin. Everyone beginning to run out and actually try and get their own points. Meanwhile, we do have Midoriya, who actually does begin to run around. You have Mina, who is currently at least funneling her hands and blasting out a stream of acid. She is actually somewhat trying to slide on it. If she can heavily coat the bottom of her shoes, and then begin to slide with her feet, she can eject acid through the bottom of her shoes and give herself faster momentum. Basically, instead of her just sliding for a little bit and coming to a stop, she can continue on with it. Now, while she's basically blasting away like that and sliding around, you have Ochako, who's actually running around and able to tap on a lot more robots, before being able to get them to fall out of the air. Along with that, she actually does tap on herself and get into the air sometimes, trying to push robots overhead of other robots. And you do have Toga, who herself is running around and just simply jumping around the robots. She does actually jump over one and actually try and basically punch into it, trying to figure out what she can do, trying to pry off some panels and get into the robots. Eventually, she does find the magical off switch on the back, since that's actually a thing, from what I've heard. And she's able to actually smash it. Smashing the off switch and the robot becomes immobilized. Now, this is how she begins to take down robots. Meanwhile, we do have Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya actually does put his newfound physical strength and speed into a bit of a test drive. Midoriya just running around at high speeds. Almost, well, let's say around Eden levels, and his strength. Midoriya being able to punch straight through a robot. Now, as soon as Midoriya punched through the first robot, he immediately broke his hands and his arm. Immediately just bringing his hand up and resetting it as it begins to regenerate. Okay, that tactic may take a second. Let's see. Midoriya trying to think. Looking at the robot, he just torn to pieces. Okay. So if he had to make his best guess, the power source is... As another robot comes barreling at Midoriya, who turns his head and uses steel. The purple beam of light smashing into a robot before directly grabbing around at something, and ripping it out. Midoriya holding it in his hand. As the robot completely stops moving and lands directly in front of his feet, sliding. Called it. So, even your power sources are limited. I wonder if this thing explodes. Midoriya using his ability and whipping it around and smashing it into a robot. Sure enough, it explodes. Midoriya giving a sinister grin, as he just runs around stealing the power sources off of all these robots. He does this, smashes into them, and simply sometimes just lets them get a hit on him. Midoriya being able to blow up, explode, punch through, and basically mess around with every single area he can. And he's had quite a bit of fun. Now, as for what is going on in the command room, no one expected this. Everyone is trying their hardest to try and earn a spot in the UA. And it would seem that currently, that young boy with the powerful quirk, he is currently at least holding the #1 spot. Now, Midoriya, he is ready. Okay. So he's had enough of those stupid ass small robots. Where's the big guy? Now, Midoriya, he actually does look around before hearing a building crumble. Bingo. Him just using his ability and trying to fling himself up higher into the air. Climbing up the side of a building and actually just being up there. As soon as he does actually stand in front of the robot, he just looks at it. Okay. So, hey asshole! Midoriya trying to get his attention. However, nothing happens. So, he does the next best thing. He runs in and jumps off the building, landing on the thing's arm before being able to simply start climbing, heading up to its face. Now, Midoriya then at least begins to try and punch into and pry away at the metal, punching a hole into it over and over again, and simply just ripping it open and climbing in. Ooh, these look important. So does this. So does this. Him ripping out vital components, along with throwing himself into some of the gears that are inside. The robot's actually beginning to have trouble functioning, as it actually does fall backwards and smash into the building. As soon as it does that, its entire body at least somewhat begins to smoke and go up into flames, and its head does explode. Meanwhile, we have Izuku. He was ejected from the robot, and he is currently riding a metal panel, as he is on fire. Midoriya is screaming out in utter joy, as he goes flying through the air and smashes into a wall, landing on the ground and being completely covered in flames. people coming over to try and actually help him. A lot of people actually frantically trying to put him out. Jesus, is this guy okay? Yeah, I think he's gonna be fine. Are you sure? No. A lot of people are talking about this frantically. As soon as Midoriya actually does open his eyes, he begins to go on saying, "Hey, thanks everyone. But don't worry, I'll be fine, I'll be fine." That metal panel still stuck on the wall. It slips out, swiftly decapitating Midoriya, his head rolling over to someone's feet, and, well, the look on his face, complete surprise. And Midoriya? Yeah. Oh, this is a new feeling. Decapitation. Him moving his eyes up and looking at the person who he's at their feet. Hey. The person swiftly screaming. Until someone who knows Midoriya's abilities does actually somewhat walk over, pick up his head, and bring it back over to his body. Oof. Yikes. Okay, that was weird. Actually, a new one. I think my head started to regenerate a little bit. Something feels off. Now, Midoriya, he begins to be barraged with questions. However, there's whenever he is outside of the entrance exam after he leaves that really catches everyone's attention. He basically gets surrounded by a shit ton of people. And a lot of fangirls. Now, a lot of girls begin to ask Midoriya certain questions. And Midoriya is someone just sitting there, kind of, well, unsure as what to say. He's probably surrounded by 50 different chicks, who are all trying to ask him questions about what he just went through. And you do have the media. And cue Mineta crying his fucking eyes out. Anyways, Mineta does at least watch that happen, and is quite surprised. Why does this guy get all the chicks? I saw that in a comment. Anyway guys, I do hope you enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I will catch you guys in the next part.